Hello, YouTube. A couple weeks ago, if you're part of my mailing list, you got a Google Doc or a Google form asking some topics to talk about on YouTube. So, if you, in the future, if any of you want to be a part to have some say in what I make, just head over to bradassfitness.com and join the mailing list, and you'll get a lot of, you'll get some early access or um, I'll be asking for help with certain content to create. But long story short, a lot of you were asking for how to burn fat, whether that was through with nutrition, exercise. So this video is kind of going to be about that, really the way to burn fat and some tips around it to really make your journey successful when it comes to burning fat. So I have some notes over here that I'm kind of just going to go through, but let's get started. So the way to burn fat is you got to eat less than what you're taking in, or you have to burn more calories than what you're taking in is the best way to say it. Or eat less than what you're actually burning. So calories in has to be less than calories out. We cannot, overrule the laws of thermodynamics. There is no way to burn fat in the sense of not for energy, but in the sense for like getting visceral fat off the body. It's not like you can eat more calories than what you're burning and expect to not get fat or to not put on weight. So that's the overlying rule to everything. You have to eat less than what you're actually burning. Now, there's a couple ways to do that to make that journey or make that process a little bit easier, because if you're starving yourself so much, it could feel absolutely horrible. But we'll get into a little bit more into that. But first, you could hear different diets of like the keto diet, intermittent fasting, eating once a day, eating 5 times a day, this and that. The thing you got to remember with deciding what type of way you want to eat has to fit you, your personality. Do you like eating a lot of fat? Do you like eating more carbs? So that can kind of determine how you want to eat. Also, your schedule. For some people, it makes sense to do intermittent fasting. For some people like myself, I would die before I got to lunch because I'd be so hungry. So a lot of different factors are determined into what I like to call fad style of eating, but there's some rules that you need, or not rules, some guidelines that I would really stick to, which we'll get into a little bit more. But again, no matter whether you choose intermittent fasting, eating 5 times a day, which is honestly what I recommend, or keto or whatever, if you want to burn fat, and in the sense of like visceral fat, looking good, looking good naked, or looking good on the beach, or feeling comfortable in your skin, no matter what way you decide to eat, the calories you take in has to be less than the calories that you're actually burning. It has to be. Again, can't defeat the laws of thermodynamics. So now that we got that out of the way, we can get more into this. There's also a concept, and I actually wrote a blog about this a little bit, of burning fat and being healthy. So again, if your main priority is to burn fat and lose weight, I really recommend taking 2 different perspectives on this. Just because you eat healthy doesn't mean you're going to burn fat. Again, if we go back to A, or to piece 1, no matter how much organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, anything, food you eat, if you're eating more than you're burning, you're still going to put on weight. You're still going to put on fat. So we have to take the perspective of eating in a caloric deficit to make sure that we're burning fat off the body, and also eating healthy. Eating healthy is going to make you feel good. It's going to have your body operate at an optimal level, which is going to make your journey through fat loss a lot better, because you won't feel as crappy. You won't feel as moody. You'll have the energy to do things. Your body will be more efficient at utilizing energy. So we got to remember Just because you're eating healthy, if you're eating too much, you're going to put on fat. So remember that. It's got to be caloric deficit and eating healthy. That's kind of like the second line. Now, with some, if we look at like some certain tips to go by with this, first I want to talk about being in a caloric deficit. I have a lot of people have always told me, it's hard. And yes, you're right, it is. And the first thing you got to remember, you can't expect to get to where you want to be in a month. I come across so many people with these expectations that they can get the body or get the life that they want, drop 40, 50 pounds and be where they want to be in a month. No, that's so hard to do, and I don't recommend doing that. You have to realize that this is a journey and it needs to be a lifestyle. It's not just, I got to my weight and then I can go back to, no. If you continue to be obese, overweight, you're setting yourself up to die. It's that simple. So you have to get the mindset that it's a lifestyle. We're not supposed to be eating crap food all the time. Unfortunately, processed food came along and really messed with our chemistry, really messed with a lot of different things. Just with our hunger, or the way the inflammation, and just makes us feel like crap. So that deficit in calories needs to be a little bit. Honestly, 200, 300, 400 calorie deficit is what I would really recommend, because any lower than that, I'm not saying this is for everyone. Everybody has different tolerances. Everybody can handle different things. What I'm saying as a general, any lower than that, and you're going to want to binge. You're going to start craving foods. You're going to be hungry all the time. You're going to feel like crap because you have no energy. So it's got to be a slight deficit. And remember that it's a long journey. Don't set yourself up for failure and expect to be where you want to be in a couple of weeks and you're not there. It's just completely, it's not the right mindset to have. Now, I'm not saying that you can't feel different in a month. You absolutely can. But in a week time, I really don't recommend losing more than a pound or 2 pounds a week. The reason why is because any more than that, for most people, when we are in that much of a deficit, our body's like, holy crap, I'm dying. So it's going to start potentially holding on to some inflammation. Muscle, it's going to be eating away at muscle, and you're going to be losing glycogen, you're going to be losing water. So if you lose 10 pounds in a week, only a small percentage of that is fat. 1 to 2 pounds a week of losing weight, the majority of that is fat. So again, low and slow wins the race. I'm telling you, I've done this time after time after time, worked with so many clients. Low and slow is the way to do it. Take my word for it. So the calorie deficit, about 200 to 300, 400 calories below than what you're burning. That way, so you're not starving all the time, you're not craving things, and you're more likely to stay, on your meal plan, on your journey. Now, looking at a couple tips to go with this, the majority of what you should be eating is low calorie, nutrient dense foods. Low calorie, nutrient dense foods. The reason why that's important is because low calorie means you can eat more of it. So if you're eating Rice Krispie treats, an extreme example, one Rice Krispie treat, I don't know, is probably 500, 600, 700 calories, somewhere around there. And it's maybe like this big. You eat that, 30 minutes later, you're going to be hungry. One, because your blood sugar, insulin, and ghrelin, which I'll actually get into a little bit in the future in this video. But also the volume is so little comparatively to a big bowl of spinach, tomatoes, mushrooms, onions, grilled chicken, cucumbers. That whole thing is maybe only 300 calories, but it's this big. I guarantee you eat that entire thing, you're not going to be hungry until a couple hours later. So low calorie, nutrient dense foods. And, this is where I can really come into play. if you get into nutrition programming with me, I can map that out for you. I can make it very tasty, very simple to follow, and effective. But again, the bottom line, low calorie, nutrient dense foods. Next thing, drink your water. Water is voluminous, it fills you up. And most of the times we are hungry is because we're actually thirsty. So drink water. It keeps your stomach full. It tends to satiate you quite a bit when you're hungry. It keeps you hydrated, keeps your muscles and cells functioning properly. So bottom line, drink your water. Mainly because it helps keeps you full, or like I said, a lot of times you may be hungry, is actually you may be actually thirsty. Another thing, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but it's exercise. Exercise allows you to burn more calories. If we're just sitting on our couch all day, our metabolism, just for hypothetical numbers, is only at 1,000. It's very easy to overeat 1,000 calories. But if you're exercising, moving around, your body is burning more calories. So it could be easier to reach that deficit rather than just sitting in a chair all day. It's just plain and simple. Just get up and move. Another one, looking at specific foods, fruits and veggies. Fruits are not evil. Fruits do not make you fat, so don't even comment below or make anything that fruits are bad. Fruits are so good for you. One, loaded with vitamins and minerals. Two, they don't spike your blood sugar nearly as much as a donut or processed sugar. And why that's important is because when your blood sugar goes up, eventually it's going to come back down because insulin goes up. And when it comes back down, you're going to be hungry again. And that can happen within 30 minutes to an hour. Fruit has fiber, helps keep your blood sugar stable, so you're not nearly as hungry. You're not as hungry as you would be compared to like I said, a sugary processed food. And you can eat more of fruit. Have you ever eaten an apple? You're not that hungry afterwards. A lot of times you eat an apple, you could go, an hour, 2 hours just off that apple because it's full of fiber. Fiber slows and levels everything out. And then veggies, quite obvious. They help fill you up. They're low calorie. And in a lot of these vegetables, there's enzymes that actually help your body be more efficient at using energy for fat. Why that's important, sustained energy. We were talking about, when your blood sugar does this, you're going to be hungry a lot. Sustained energy, your body's not going to be screaming, feed me, feed me, feed me. So moral of the story, fruits and veggies. Don't be afraid to eat fruit. The only time, in this case, fruit would make you fat is if you ate more fruit, if you ate more calories than what you're actually burning. But that goes for everything. Another one, believe it or not, caffeine. Caffeine can help suppress hunger. If you notice that during your weight loss and fat burning journey, you're hungry quite a bit. A little bit of caffeine, I'm not saying like absurd amounts of caffeine, but a cup of coffee, there's nothing wrong with that. And it can actually help suppress your appetite a bit. Also, gives you a little bit more energy. The more you're moving around, the more calories you're burning. So caffeine can be a great way to, to help with the appetite suppression, give you a little bit more energy, so you're burning a little bit more calories. And the last one I have here is looking at, I'm kind of talked a lot about this already, but I'm getting more into insulin and ghrelin, but whole foods and fiber. So if we go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger, or if we go, even better, go to the grocery store and get like boxed mac and cheese or any type of processed foods that's like a bowl of ramen, anything like that, comparatively to, let's say, some grilled chicken, some asparagus, some rice, or even a sandwich, like you make your own using whole wheat bread, even white bread, some good quality cold cuts, some veggies on top of that, and then a side of maybe, with an apple. You could see the difference of the two different foods. There's, as I call, like whole foods comparatively to processed foods. When we eat processed foods, and that can be, like I said, in certain restaurants, certain things you buy from the grocery store. It hits our system very fast. And what's going to happen, our blood sugar has a better chance of going up, and inflammation has a better chance of going up. They're loaded with sodium, so that could help with water retention, which doesn't always feel good. But blood sugar is going to go up, then insulin's going to go up, and like we said, it's going to crash. When it crashes, we have this roller coaster effect, and so we don't have that stable energy, so we're going to be moody, we're going to be irritable, and we're going to have a crash in energy. And then also ghrelin is going to rise. When ghrelin goes up, stress goes up in the system and it makes you more hungry. So long story short, those super high calorie foods that are processed don't really fill you up, and you're going to be hungry maybe an hour later, 30 minutes to an hour later, and you're going to want to eat again. When we're trying to be in a caloric deficit, that is not a good idea. So if we go lean more on the whole food section, sandwiches that we make of rice, whole, really, the best way I can describe it is whole foods. That isn't going to spike our blood sugar nearly as much. We're going to be a lot more stable with energy, and ghrelin is going to be suppressed a lot more. Our body's not going to be nearly inflamed, nearly as stressed out. And we're going to be full for 3 to 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours, depending on the types of food that you're eating. If it's loaded with fiber, if you have enough, if you have a balanced meal of carbs, proteins, and fats, carbohydrates are only processed in the tongue and small intestine. What that means, if you have a high carbohydrate meal with little to no protein, you're going to be very hungry soon after that because it's not being processed in the stomach. So you could have a high carb meal, which, we need carbs, but make sure we have a little bit of fat and protein in there to stable everything out. We have fiber in there to stabilize everything out. So this is kind of my video to kind of throw it all at you. To really say, there's the ultimate way to burn fat is you got to eat less than what you're actually burning through exercise and movement. And then, make sure, you're eating, you have both the mindset of eating healthy, caloric deficit, low calorie dense foods, drinking lots of water, eating your fruits and veggies, having whole foods rather than processed foods. So hope this helped. If you need, if you really do want some guidance and coaching on this, go ahead and visit bradsfitness.com. I can make this all very easy for you and really, educate you and guide you and hold your hand through this every step of the way to ultimately get you to your end goal. But if you follow these tips, you will definitely succeed. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, and